DonInLondon, hello, it's September the 2nd, 2009. My YouTube videos all about recovery from addiction to either substance or behaviour. My substance over the years was alcohol, my behaviour. Often trying to be whatever you wanted me to be, trying to be perfect, saying yes to anything, any project. I guess saying yes. And these days I'm learning to say no selectively. We all learn lessons of life, and sometimes in the throes of addiction, my addiction being alcohol, my behaviour workaholic or workyholic as well, relationshipaholic, gymaholic, anything to try and fix the desperate feelings inside which made me feel lonely, abandoned, or just with a great big hole inside that I couldn't work out what was wrong. And I guess there was nothing wrong really with the hole inside, I just didn't know how to fill it with good things. So what did I do? Filled it with alcohol. And as a consequence my life turned out pretty awful towards the end of my drinking. Lost everything, which is a good thing for me, because it meant I had an even bigger hole inside me, if you like, and out around me to start growing again. And then I had to ask myself, what was I going to do? And on my own I couldn't do it. So my videos are really about recovery from alcohol addiction and behavioural addiction. And what helps me on a daily basis? Well, it's connection to family, community, professionals, society, civilization, and what comes before that is sobriety. I have to put sobriety first, otherwise nothing else works. So in my life I put an awful lot of effort into being a part of a fellowship which helps me on a daily basis, and that fellowship is Alcoholics Anonymous. And it's not for everyone, and I know that because I rejected it over and over again until I found no other way. Once I found a way of being sober a day at a time and making my life plan one day long, life became a bit more, I suppose in a way, manageable. Although I'm very careful, because I know if I take a drink I'm powerless over what will happen next, and generally I'm powerless anyway over people, places and things. What I have today is best choice based on best information, and a fellowship which helps me determine what those things are. And if I can't get the advice from family, community, society, civilization or professionals, not in any particular order, because I go to where I know there is wisdom to be had and advice to be given without prejudice. And that's what I try to do here. Share my wisdom, or the wisdom of others which I've learned from them. So it's a collective conclusion I come to. If it were totally of my own making, I'd have a very small world. It would be what is inside my head, and without information it would just grow smaller and smaller till there was nothing else but me. And the gift of being in recovery is I'm open to everything and all the possibilities of life. So I go to AA, and the statement which is shared at the beginning of every meeting I go to, and meetings are the backbone of my recovery, to be in connection with people who know how it is to be sober. Even if it's one day or many days sober, there's only one day which counts, and that's the one we've got. So if you ever go to an AA meeting, this is what you hear, and it's there for a reason, to remind us all, whether we're one day sober or any X number of days sober, this is why we go. Alcoholics Anonymous is a fellowship of men and women who share their experience, strength and hope with each other, that they may solve their common problem and help others to recover from alcoholism. The only requirement for membership is a desire to stop drinking. There are no dues or fees for AA membership. We are self-supporting through our own contributions. AA is not allied with any sect, denomination, politics, organisation or institution, does not wish to engage in any controversy, neither endorses nor opposes any causes. Our primary purpose is to stay sober and help other alcoholics to achieve sobriety. And whilst I say that about AA, it's not allied to anything I do. I'm also not allied to anything anybody else might do with my videos, and somebody brought it to my attention today it was being used to promote something else. And I haven't got the energy to do anything about it, but I will make sure in future that you know I don't endorse anything else. This is just me and my outlook. So I don't endorse. Neither does AA, and they don't endorse me either. We learn our unique, authentic path, and we share it as we can. And you know, it was a hard day yesterday. I was going to go to a chair down at Parsons Green, which is me doing service and sharing my message, what's today like in recovery. and I was running on time, and then there was a commotion where I live, and one of my neighbours had a tragedy happening, and their partner, she thought, was dead, and asked my help, and I went to try and assist. Anyway, the upshot is it was true, and whilst on the phone with the ambulance people and trying to sort it out, they were suggesting CPR, but I thought it was a bit too late, as it had gone cold and stiff, and you know, it's one of those situations which you just do not want to really be in, but you do it because it's necessary, and we have compassion, and we're alive. It doesn't make it any easier, and you know, it's a tragedy, and that person, I suspect, had the same malady as me, but they weren't in recovery. And that's all I want to say about that, but it did impact on me quite heavily. And when I went to my normal meeting in the evening, I did share about it, because the expression of what is going on a daily basis reminds us all just how difficult life is for everybody, and no matter what. And I knew this person, and they were very amiable, but not always with it, and you know, it affects us. So for me, I will say a silent prayer probably over and over again, and hope that the people who are left will be okay. That's as much as I can say about that, so I'm going to shut up about it. So September is all about step 9 in the 12 steps of AA literature, or some of it. And in the 12 by 12 book, the Daily Reflections book, you know, the 12 by 12 is 12 steps and 12 traditions. The steps are to help us keep on an even keel and live in the day and make progress one day at a time. And the Daily Reflections, this one is a 1 page a day, which gives, I suppose, some encouragement and wisdom on a daily basis, and each step is covered in each month, so 12 steps, 12 months. And now in September, step 9, and I'll just read a bit about step 9 from the blue book, and I'm aware of time here again. So for step 9, which reads, made direct amends to such people wherever possible, except when to do so would injure them or others. And it says here, good judgment, a careful sense of timing, courage and prudence. These are the qualities we shall need when we take step 9. After we have made a list of people we had harmed, have reflected carefully upon each instance, and have tried to possess ourselves of the right attitude in which to proceed, we will see that the making of direct amends divides those we should approach into several classes. There will be those who ought to be dealt with just as soon as we become reasonably confident that we can maintain our sobriety. There will be those to whom we can only make partial restitution, lest complete disclosures do them or others more harm than good. And there will be the other cases where action ought to be deferred, and still others in which, by the very nature of the situation, we shall never be able to make direct amends or personal contact at all. That's critical, really, because, you know, going around making amends to people with gusto, without considering the consequences or the impact those amends might make, you've got to balance it, and that's why we have sponsors or people that we go to for help and guidance when we do this. And it doesn't necessarily have to be a person in AA. Good, wise people around us can give us a bit of guidance about what we can do to make restitution and amends. So I'm going to leave it there. I'm still a bit, I don't know what to say really, discombobulated by the events of yesterday, and I'm very sorry those things happened. But I'm bloody glad I'm sober, because, you know, what would I have done? I'd have joined in the tragedy somehow and tried to make it part of my life. Well, it has a part, but just enough. So my time is up, and as I always say, the serenity prayer to good conscience, your God as you understand him, or whatever it is that you believe to be the higher power. Grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom always just to know the difference for today.